Good morning, everyone. Here we are going to start the next module, that is first module. It is we are going to talk about the introduction towards measurement and some of the scaling techniques. And in the previous classes, we have discussed about the nature and use of psychological test, and we have given the definition for psychological testing, and we have given the entire outline related to a psychological test or conducting the psychological test. And here we are going to give some of the description towards the measurement and some of the scaling techniques. So here we have mentioned that the stopwatch procedure, instead of the rank order method, that is classifying as first, second and third, so it is being classified in between with some other factors like, here we can see that the stopwatch procedure communicates how much longer the second place finisher took to finish than the first place winner. So in between there is a factor related to the time gap. So if you are following the stopwatch procedure, that is a correct method of assigning the scores, and it will deeply explain you how much time it has been taken by the second place finisher than the first place finisher, or that who reached in the first place and the second place. So in the rank order method you can see only the first place, second place or third place, but here you can you will be going with some of the detailed information, that is you will be getting there will be some time gap, or this much time we have taken to cover that. So there will be some answers that you can find for some of the questions in. And he suggested that, or actually Steven suggested that there are 4 different levels of measurement, and which he calls scales of measurement, that correspond to 4 different levels of quantitative informations that can be communicated by a set of scores. So he suggested that there will be mainly 4 different levels for levels of measurements, and he called it as scales. So we have already mentioned that the scaling techniques in the starting itself. We have mentioned that introduction to measurement and some of the scaling techniques. So he called it as, or Stevens actually referred it as scales of measurement, and it is all related to levels of quantitative informations. It can be understand, or it can be communicated by a set of scores. So here we are having these 4 different levels of measurement, and the first one, that is it is mentioned here, that is a nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and the fourth one is a ratio scale. Yes, when going for that, we already said that we have 4 different levels of measurement, and it is mentioned here. And when discussing about the first one, that is the nominal scales, in nominal scale measurement, we merely use a number as a label for a class or category. The only rules for assigning numbers are that all members of any class shall have the same number, and that no two class shall be assigned the same number. Example, we'll be having we have gone through some of the statistical methods. We have already gone through some of the statistical methods that we have studied, like mod, frequencies, etc. So here we can see in the level of frequency that you will be measuring only, or you will be assigning only one number, or using a single number for a particular class, and there you will not provide in the same group or in the same label or same class as any other different number. Okay. All the members or all the characteristics for that class will be same. The only rule for assigning the numbers are that all members of any class shall have the same number, and that no two class shall be assigned the same number also. So if you distribute again the next class, there is no same number can be done with the first class. The nominal level of measurement is used for categorical variables and involves assigning scores that are category labels. So as we described in the previous point, that is, for each class there will be assigning a single number or all the members or all the uh, entire characteristics of that class will be same, and it cannot be provided to another class. So like that, the nominal level of measurement is used for categorical variables. So the single category which will be labeled in the same, the variables in the same variable can be categorized only into the single group. So and involves assigning scores that are, it is known as category labels. And category labels communicate whether any two individuals are the same or different in terms of the variable being measured. For example, you can see here, if you look at your research, participants as they enter the room decide whether each one is male. For example, if you look at your research, participants as they enter the room decide whether each one is male or female, and this and type this information into a spreadsheet. You are engaged in nominal level measurement. So the next level of measurement, that is the ordinal level of measurement. So the ordinal level of measurement involves assigning scores so that they represent the rank order of the individuals. So ranks communicate not only whether any two individuals are the same or different in terms of the variable being measured, but also whether one individual is higher or lower on that variable. So here this level of measurement depicts that, or some ordered relationship among the variables observations. And suppose we can go with an example, that is, suppose a student scores the highest grade of 100 in the class. In this case, he would be assigned the first rank. Then another classmate scores and second highest grade of an 92, he would be or she would be assigned the second rank. A third student scores 81 and he would be assigned the third rank, and so on it will go, right? So the ordinal level of measurement indicates an ordering of the measurement. So it will give an order to the levels. So as like the example what we have mentioned in the previous slide for the ordinal scale, here is another example. You can see that a researcher wishing to measure consumers' satisfaction with their microwave ovens might ask them to specify their feelings as either very dissatisfied, somewhat satisfied, or very satisfied. So in between the categories that you can see, that very dissatisfied, somewhat dissatisfied, somewhat satisfied, and very much satisfied on the product. So here you can see an order for that, for assigning an grade to or an rank order to the material. So the items in this scale are ordered ranging from least to most satisfied, right? This is what distinguishes ordinal from nominal scale. So this is the difference that you can see, that you can find out with the nominal scale and the ordinal scales. The other level of measurement that includes the interval level, or we can say that the interval scale of a measurement. So the interval level of measurement involves assigning scores using numerical scales in which intervals have the same interpretation throughout. So interval scales of measurement not only classifies and orders the measurement, but it also specifies that the distance between each interval on the scale are equivalent along the scale from low interval to the high interval. So here we can have an example that consider either the Fahrenheit or Celsius temperature scales. The difference between 30 degrees and 40 degrees represent the same temperature difference as the difference between 80 degrees and 90 degrees. So this is because each 10 degree interval has the same physical meaning in terms of the kinetic energy of molecules. So here you can see an interval of 30 to 40. So in between it will follow the same as for the next interval what is given, that 80 degrees to the 90 degree. So this is following an equal level of measurement in between that. So that's why it is called an interval scale. An example, an interval level of measurement of anxiety in a student between the score of 10 and 11. This interval is the same as that of a student who scores between 40 and 41. A popular example of this level of measurement is temperature in centigrade. So that is what we have mentioned. So for example, the distance between 94 degrees Celsius and 96 degrees Celsius is the same as the distance between 100 degrees Celsius and the 102 degrees Celsius. The next level of measurement, that is here we can see that ratio scale. So it is the highest level of measurement and has all the properties of nominal, ordinal and interval scales plus an absolute or true 0 point. So that is the peculiarity with the ratio scale. So here we can see that all the properties of the nominal scale, interval scale and ordinal scales are being followed with the ratio scale. The salient feature of the ratio scale is that the ratio of any two numbers is independent of the unit of measurement and therefore it can meaningfully be equated. For example, the ratio, that is 16 is to 28 is equal to 4 is to 7. So for example, the ratio 16 is to 28 is equal to 4 is to 7. So there we can see that the interval level of measurement, and in this scale the divisions between the scale have an equivalent distance between them. So in ratio measurement, all the 9 postulates of measurement can be applied. Also, all statistical operations including the coefficient of variation can be utilized also. So some of the common example we can see with a ratio scale, that includes or ratio scale measures of weight, width, length, loudness, etc. So this can be taken it as a common examples of ratio scales. So in this level of measurement, the observations, in addition to having equal intervals, can have a value of 0 as well. So that is the first one that we have mentioned. The 0 in the scale makes this type of measurement unlike the other types of measurement, although the properties are similar to that of the interval level of measurement. So in this scale, the divisions between the scale have an equivalent distance between them. That shows the example that the ratio 16 is to 28 is equal to 4 is to 7.